You know, Bitcoin's 0.1% of the capital in the world right now. I think it's going to go to 7% of the capital.
7%?
My long-term forecast is it's going to go to 13 million over 21 years. You buy Bitcoin, you hold it for more than 4 years, Joe. That's my advice to everybody.
Even with bullish Michael Saylor on MSNBC yesterday, the sentiment around Bitcoin is pretty low. With the price still lagging under $58,000, why does this cycle feel so different from the ones of the past? Bitcoin has already made an all-time high this year, yet many of us are feeling frustration, fear, and boredom, some even questioning if we will even see another parabolic price move in the near future. Today, I dive into some potential reasons for the negative market sentiment and why confusing price signals caused by inflation might be a hint as to where we actually are in the 4-year cycle. Which begs the question, did we even make an all-time high yet? What's up, Bitcoiners and the financially curious? I'm Hurley, Director of Content here at Swan. Now it's time for some pure Bitcoin signal. After an explosive start to the year in 2024, following the ETF approvals and even hitting new all-time highs, Bitcoin has completely cooled off and has even slowly melted down ever since. This has caused many new investors to lose interest, as the sideways and down action of the price has induced fear, uncertainty, doubt, and flat-out frustration. When analyzing the Bitcoin price over the last several years, we can start to see why sentiment is so low here, even though we are more than double where we were at this time last year. One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to focus on today is inflation. We are just now coming off the highest inflation rates globally in over 40 years. And when we see high inflation, it confuses price signals as the ruler to measure them becomes greatly distorted. It's that gut reaction we get when we see that a dozen eggs used to be sub $2 in early 2020 and are now nearly 3 times that at just under $6. If you take the same distortion in price signals and apply it to the Bitcoin price, we begin to see what might be causing the sentiment to be so low here at 57,000. Checkmatey has done some great analysis on this. He took the dollar's purchasing power in January of 2020 as a reference point and applied it to the spot price of Bitcoin at around $55,000, and the results are shocking. If you take official CPI numbers at face value, Bitcoin is only at $45.6 thousand today when measured in 2020 dollars. However, if you correct official inflation numbers and assume it's at least 2 to 3 times what they say, which I think is still conservative for how much inflation has increased on the basket of goods and services most people measure, like high-quality food, commodities, and housing, you see that Bitcoin is only at around $36,000 today when measured in 2020 dollars. And if you take that data and apply it to the previous cycle all-time high of $69K in 2021, you see that the actual all-time high corrected for inflation is around $95,000 US. So based on this data, we could theorize that Bitcoin did not truly break its all-time high, which would mean that the 74,000 top we saw earlier this year could very well be similar to the $14,000 top we saw in 2019. And if you can imagine buying Bitcoin for the first time in 2021, when it was first crossing the $1 trillion market cap at over $50,000 a coin, you can see why $55,000 today feels so disappointing and frustrating. In my opinion, Bitcoin is just doing what Bitcoin always does at this point in the cycle. It's boring you into submission and forcing capitulation. There's a reason why, anecdotally, no one is asking you about Bitcoin at these prices. It's because we're still at the point in the cycle where Bitcoin is invisible to the average person. This would lead me to believe that Bitcoin is extremely cheap and undervalued here. And one person who clearly agrees with me is Michael Saylor, who went on CNBC yesterday morning and called his shot, publicly stating his belief that Bitcoin will go to $13 million per coin.
You buy Bitcoin, you hold it for more than 4 years, Joe. That's my advice to everybody.
For anyone, buy it and hold it for more than 4 years. And then you think eventually it takes how much, let's say it is digital gold, what percentage of gold's market cap does it finally?
You know, Bitcoin's 0.1% of the capital in the world right now. I think it's going to go to 7% of the capital.
7%?
My long-term forecast is it's going to go to 13 million over 21 years.
13 million.
13 million, but what is it 5 years from now? In your 4-year calculus?
You know, it's been growing 44% a year with about a 40 to 50 vol. I would think it'll move on at 40%, then click down to 35, then 30, then 25, and at some point it'll be the S&P return plus 8%, and it'll be the S&P vol plus 8% because it's always going to be a more global, open, free capital market.
How is there stuff that's above your pay grade? You're worth billions. I mean, we can say that. It's above our pay grade, but who gets to decide if it's above your pay grade?
He might have been it's below his pay grade.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Bitcoin's an expression in this view that you want to invest in an asset without counterparty risk, which means you don't want to be counterparty to a country, a currency, a city, a company, a commodity, or a culture, right? So people think it's a risky thing. It's all about people wanting to not take risk. They don't want to guess whether Picasso's or real estate in New York or NVIDIA stock will be higher in 10 years. They want to buy money. They want to buy 1/21 millionth of all the money in the world forever.
End it there, Michael. Thank you.
Saylor is taking a peek into the near future here, prophesying that sometime soon, people will buy Bitcoin not as a gamble or long-shot investment, but for its unique properties as an asset without counterparty risk. I challenge you to take the Bitcoin price at any point outside the tippy top of the previous cycles and add 4+ years, and even when correcting for high inflation, there is no second best place for parking your purchasing power. For example, Bitcoin 4 years ago on September 10th, 2020 was around $10,000 US. Even when we correct for the 3 times official inflation numbers, that number is still only $15,000 US. So given that price signals are all distorted and we've all taken a beating with inflation over the last several years, perhaps Bitcoin's price right now is even cheaper than it seems, which to me explains the negative sentiment and frustration. I'd also like to point out Bitcoin's average monthly returns, which shows that September is the worst month for Bitcoin historically. So hang in there, because October is just around the corner. So my advice, like Saylor's, is to buy the dip aggressively, wait 4+ years, and let's see how you do. And don't forget, you can buy this dip and stack Bitcoin through Swan. Visit swan.com or download the app at swan.com/app, sign up and start buying and self-custodying Bitcoin in minutes. Plus, you get your first $10,000 in Bitcoin purchases with 0 fees. Let me know in the comments what you think of all this. Please like this video for the algo, and don't forget to subscribe to the Swan Bitcoin channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and remember, there is no second best.